This is our ultimate 2-week guide to Greece.
What's up, Wanderers? We're Jed and Janet. If you're new here, welcome.
We spent a jam-packed 2 weeks in Greece, and we wanted to see as much of the country as possible, but we didn't want the typical tourist experience. We had some big goals in mind.
We wanted to visit the famous Greek islands, but we also wanted to get off the beaten path and see some places that most tourists might miss.
We did an epic road trip to northern Greece into the mountains and the countryside.
And we wanted to see as much history as possible, from ancient ruins to fascinating mythology.
And don't forget, amazing food! We had gyros in family-run tavernas and fancier dinners next to the Aegean Sea.
Yum! If this sounds like the kind of trip you're planning, then stick around, because we're breaking down our entire 2-week Greece itinerary.
We're gonna tell you exactly where we went, how we got around, what we would do differently next time, and budget tips to help you plan your own Greece trip.
So let's jump into it.
To start, let's get a broad look at Greece's geography.
There are 13 provinces called regions, but in this video we'll be focusing on Attica, Central Greece, Thessaly, Epirus, the Peloponnese, and the South Aegean Islands.
We started off where most travelers do, landing at the international airport in Athens, Greece's capital city. But the real question is, where do you go from here?
Many tourists don't even set foot outside of the international airport. They just immediately catch a flight over to the islands. But we think that's a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. The islands are amazing, but Greece has so much more to offer.
So instead of choosing one or the other, why not experience both? We'll break it all down as we go through it. But before you start thinking about where you're gonna go, you're gonna wanna consider when to go.
The best time to visit Greece? Well, that all depends on what you want out of your experience.
Your experience will change dramatically depending on which season you choose. Our recommendation, shoulder season is the sweet spot. You'll have pleasant weather, everything's open, but there are fewer crowds compared to peak summer season.
Yeah, we visited the first 2 weeks of September, and the weather was beautiful, the water was warm and perfect for swimming, and the nights were pleasant and cool.
But every season has its pros and cons. Here's what you need to know. Even in September, the busiest places were still crowded, but with smart planning and early mornings, we managed to avoid the worst of the crowds.
So now that we got the when out of the way, let's talk about the where.
Here's our full Greece route. From Athens to Delphi to Meteora and the mountains of northern Greece, down to the Peloponnese and Nafplio, before finally hopping over to the Cyclades Islands.
We're gonna break it all down stop by stop.
So let's get into the itinerary.
Most people will rush through Athens on their way to the islands, but trust us, you're going to want at least a full day here. Navigating from the airport to the city center is super easy.
We stayed in the Plaka neighborhood, which is perfect for first-timers because you can walk to all the major sites.
We recommend getting the Acropolis combo ticket, which is 30 euros. It covers 7 incredible archaeological sites, including the Acropolis, the ancient Agora, and the Roman Agora.
We packed a ton into our Athens visit. Check out our full guide for all of our tips, including how to beat the crowds at the Acropolis and our favorite hidden neighborhood, F.A.Q. But let's hit the road because things are about to get even more legendary.
After exploring Athens, we picked up our rental from the airport and made our way into central Greece. If you're not renting a car, the good news is that many tours offer day trips to Delphi as well as Nafplio, which is one of Greece's most beautiful cities. We'll get there soon, but first, one of the most ancient and mystical places, Delphi.
In ancient times, people traveled from all over to consult the oracle, who dished out prophecies from the gods. Not only is the history insanely cool, but the setting is unreal. Nestled against Mount Parnassus, the views are next level.
We also had one of the best lunches ever in a little mountain town nearby called Arahova. If you love Greek food, add this stop to your itinerary.
Delphi is totally doable as a day trip from Athens, but if you're continuing north like we are, then get ready for the next place because it completely blew our minds.
Yes, the landscapes here were so cool. It is crazy that this place isn't more well known. It's totally a wonder of the world. We're talking about Meteora, a place that every traveler in Greece should visit.
Meteora has an amazing history. Here's the Cliff's Notes version of it. There were 24 monasteries perched atop of these sandstone pillars. Today, 6 remain. Visiting them feels like stepping into another world.
But if you're looking for an under-the-radar hike, then check this out.
We hiked to the Rock of the Holy Spirit, a little-known viewpoint that most visitors totally miss. If you want to do this hike, we break it all down in our Meteora video.
From Meteora, we drove deeper into the mountains to one of the most off-the-beaten-path regions of Greece, Epirus.
This region is famous for its traditional villages and its stunning landscapes. And during this part of the trip, we hardly saw any other travelers.
Our main destination?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Vikos Gorge, which holds the record for being the deepest gorge in the world.
This place is absolutely breathtaking and one of Greece's least visited regions. If you're looking for the hidden side of Greece, this is it.
After a long driving day, we finally made it to one of the most charming towns in Greece, Nafplio, which is also a great jumping off point for exploring more of the Peloponnese.
Most people visit Nafplio as a day trip from Athens, but if you have time, this is a place worth lingering in. Not only does it have stunning sea views, but it's also a gateway to some of Greece's most fascinating Bronze Age sites.
We walked through legendary tombs, explored the most perfect theater from antiquity, and searched for ancient underwater ruins. From Nafplio, we headed back to Athens to drop off the rental car, and it was time to switch gears and island hop. But the next question is, which island to choose?
Greece has hundreds of islands, but we had our eyes set on the Cyclades, a chain of over 200 islands in the South Aegean Sea. Of those, only about 33 are inhabited. The most famous are Santorini and Mykonos, but they're also the most crowded.
So, where did we go? We picked Milos because of its insane landscapes, unique beaches, and chill vibe. It's also where we had one of the best days in the whole trip.
Milos is known for its picturesque fishing villages, incredible food, and a coastline that feels like you've landed on another planet. But the real highlight, sailing around the island.
We swam through hidden caves, between rock formations where pirates would hide out, and in a place called the Blue Lagoon.
This is insane.
Which honestly had the most turquoise water I've ever seen.
Milos was absolutely stunning, and while it's not as crowded as some of the cruise ship hotspots, there were still a lot of people there. It's also relatively small compared to our next destination.
A 4-hour ferry ride later, and we arrived on the largest island in the Cyclades, a place that, whenever we mentioned it to Greeks, it made their faces light up.
If we had to describe Naxos in one word, relaxed. Naxos has miles of coastline, and unlike some other Greek islands, where you only have a couple of sandy beach options, here you have dozens.
But what makes Naxos truly special is that the island isn't just about the beaches. The interior is mountainous, and there is an extensive network of hiking trails linking the villages.
We stayed in a traditional mountain town. It's the type of place where you park your car at the outskirts, and the only way in is on foot. through a maze of whitewashed cobblestone streets. There are no street names, no Google Maps, but don't worry, if you get lost, you can just follow the cats.
There's so much history here, from ancient ruins to medieval Venetian castles. But we'll save that for our dedicated island videos. We're working on those now, so subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on all the details on the islands.
That is our full 2-week itinerary. And for an even more detailed guide to Greece, check out all of our videos in our Journey Through Greece playlist.
And if you're mapping out your own trip, we've created a Google Maps list that has all the pins for every single place we recommend. So check that out, the link is in the description.
But would we do anything differently?
We'll get to that in a second. But first, budget time! Gatekeeping out, financial transparency in. So how much did we actually spend on our Greece trip?
We spent just under 5,000 euro for 2 people, including accommodation, transportation, food, activities.
That doesn't include our round trip flights to Greece, but everything else is covered. So let's break it down.
We rented a car 3 times in Greece, once on the mainland and again on both Milos and Naxos. Was it worth it? 100%. Public transport works in Athens, but if you want to get off the beaten path, renting a car is the way to go.
For island hopping, we took a mix of flights and ferries. Flights are faster, but ferries could be cheaper, especially if you book in advance or travel during the low season.
We stayed in mostly budget-friendly Airbnbs, choosing locations close to what we wanted to see. The most expensive stay was definitely Milos. The cheapest? Meteora at 58 euro a night.
If you're on a tighter budget, consider spending more nights on the mainland. The islands are considerably more expensive.
We ate out every day, from gyros to fancy seaside dinners. Greek food is amazing, but if you're on a budget, you can save big by eating at local tavernas and picking up snacks at the grocery store.
We splurged on a catamaran cruise that was totally sublime. No regrets.
And as for historical sites, the tickets are affordable. So could we have spent less? Absolutely. And here's where you can cut costs if you're trying to stay on more of a budget.
And just to let y'all know, we suggest using travel points. If you got them, use them. We saved over $1,000 on our round trip flights by using travel points.
So that's the full budget breakdown, but would we change anything about our trip?
Let's talk about it. Look, when it comes to travel, no itinerary is going to be perfect for every single traveler. People have different priorities. But if we had to cut down from 2 weeks to 10 days, here's what we would do. And I hate to say it, but we would cut this.
As epic as our time in the mountains of Epirus was, it's just too far out of the way to make it work in 10 days.
And if we had to pick only one island, we'd choose Naxos. Naxos has it all. Beaches, mountains, great food, and tons to do.
Now, if you can add a couple extra days to your itinerary, this is where we think you should put them.
Athens is a huge city, so adding an extra day there is a no-brainer. More time for food, history, and culture.
A night in Delphi would be great too. And if you're going further north, we'd recommend slowing down and maybe staying in a traditional stone village or in the city of Yanina.
Finally, the Peloponnese deserves so much more time. You could spend 2 weeks here alone exploring ancient ruins, medieval castles, and beaches most tourists will never see.
There's so many unique places here that just couldn't make it into our schedule. Places like Olympia, Sparta, Monemvasia, and Corinth.
Guess we'll have to go back. All right, before we wrap up, let's answer some of your most asked questions about traveling to Greece.
Yes, Greece is part of the European Union. Yes, Greece uses the euro. And also, yes, people drive on the right side of the street in Greece.
Driving in Athens was like driving in any other big city. The infrastructure on the mainland is really good. There are lots of toll roads. On the islands and in the little villages, you can expect narrow, winding roads and lots of people on scooters. But what about public transportation?
Well, the metro is great. Buses can be unreliable, and if you're going by ferry, just don't book a flight directly after the ferry route because there can be delays.
Should I tip at restaurants in Greece?
5 to 10% is appreciated, but it's not expected. In fact, credit card payments sometimes don't even have a line for a tip, so cash is your best bet.
And if you're doing this, tip.
Don't do that.
Or just don't do it. What about visiting in the winter? Should I visit in the winter?
Not if you're going to the islands. The islands are pretty much shut down in the winter, except for Crete. But if you're going to Athens and you're looking for some discounted ticket pricing and a lot smaller crowds, winter might be the perfect time for that. Also, snowy mountains in the winter are great. I heard there are wildfires and earthquakes in Greece. Should I be worried?
Yes. There are increasing wildfires because of climate change. You're going to want to stay informed. So you could check out this website and it tells you about recent conditions. We'll put the link in the description. Can I drink the tap water in Greece?
In Athens, it's okay to drink the tap water, but in the more remote areas and on the islands, it's better to play it safe and drink bottled water. I heard that you don't flush your toilet paper in Greece. Is this true?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's not a big deal and you shouldn't let something like that stop you from visiting Greece. Okay, speed round. Do they speak English in Greece?
Most people do, especially in tourist areas.
Should I learn Greek?
It's always a good idea to learn a few phrases in the local language, so I'd say yes.
Do I need cash?
Not really. Most places take credit cards and Apple Pay.
Where do I start if I'm mapping out my own trip to Greece?
We've got a Google Maps list and it's right there in our description and it's absolutely free.
What about more Greece tips?
Check out our Journey Through Greece playlist and subscribe to our channel.
Are you excited to visit Greece? Let us know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.
And keep on wandering, baby. Okay, that was better.